Today on the Hopefulist, it's Cocktail Friday. My celebrity meeting. You won't believe what food item now has a pumpkin spice option. And be kind to your friends. Stop the gossip.
Welcome to the Hopefulist, a daily talk show hosted by veteran broadcaster Wendy McClure. Join Wendy each day as she shares her life lessons that transformed her from perpetual pessimist to the ultimate hopefulist. The perfect morning show to get you caught up on the day's top stories while sharing insights that will lead to positive transformation and bring out the hopefulist in you. For more inspiration, visit hopefulist.com. And now, here's your host and hopefulist, Wendy McClure.
Good morning. We made it. It is Cocktail Friday. It's the freaking weekend. Woo, woo. All right. It is Friday, August 16th, 2019. And I am ready for the weekend. How about you? Let's talk a little bit about football, sports. Let's talk about the Phillies first. If you have not seen the walk-off grand slam home run by Bryce Harper, please check it out online. He hit a home run into the upper deck, just kept going and going and going, which pulled out a come-from-behind win, and his teammates greeted him at home plate with a bucket of Gatorade. And the newscasters here on the news that I watched said, they messed up his hair. Yes, he does have a good head of hair. So it was a very cool moment, putting us a little bit closer to the playoffs in that wild card race. So it was very interesting. Now, the Eagles played a preseason game yesterday. I'm a little baffled about what's going on with preseason, and here is why. I've watched preseason football for a long time, and it has been my experience. Typically, the way preseason goes is the first game, they put the starter in for, say, one series. Then they take them out. Second game, they put the starter in for a number of series, maybe the first quarter. Then by the third preseason game, they keep them in for about a half, depending on how well they're doing. And by the fourth game, they don't put any of the starters in there. Don't want to take any chances. Now, last night, the Eagles did not start Carson Wentz at all. In fact, very few of the starters were in at all. A couple on the defense were in as starters. And it did happen. Now our third backup quarterback has been injured. He got injured in the first series of the game, had to come out, did not return. I'm not sure what the status of his injury is. I don't think it's that serious. I don't think he's going to miss a number of weeks like Nate Sudfeld is going to. But I haven't heard the latest report on that because all of the morning news programs here are talking about nothing but the Phillies because they had that big, now they're talking about it. Now I see the Eagles up on the screen, waiting until I can't watch it. So anyway, the Eagles won the game, but I'm a little baffled as to why we're not using any of the starters. Now, based on what happened, yes, it was good that Carson Wentz was not in this first series when the third backup quarterback now got hurt. So then we had to use the fourth backup quarterback for the remainder of the game. Preseason doesn't matter. We know that. I just thought it was a way to get some real practice in for our starters. Not the whole game, not even a lot of the game, but a little bit, just a little bit. I don't know. It's been a very unsatisfying preseason for me, I have to tell you. I'm sure they're very distraught over the fact that I have been unhappy and dissatisfied. Yeah, I'm sure they don't care at all. I wanted to mention, too, this is kind of what it's like to live in our household. And since we haven't watched football since last winter, probably, after the Super Bowl, one of my favorite things to do when we're watching football is, how when the game first comes on and they have the players come up and, they have those little flashes where the player says their position and what college they went to. I love when they say the Ohio State. So whenever I hear somebody say the Ohio State, I yell, the Ohio State. Gosh, I am so annoying. I don't know how Gio puts that with me. He actually thinks it's funny. That's why we get along so well, because I'm ridiculous and stupid, and he laughs at me. So the first time I heard that last night, I just looked at Joe and went, the Ohio State! And he went, well, I don't think I've heard that since January. So then I proceeded to say it about 15 more times throughout the night. And then there's that show that just came back on the air, Last Man Standing, where the wife on that show went to Ohio State, and she also walks around saying, the Ohio State. So I have plenty of opportunities to get it in. And I do love me some the Ohio State. Are you tired of it yet? Because it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning of football season. It's going to be a long road. I crack myself up. Okay, so moving on to some other news. I promised you some horrifying news in the pumpkin spice world. You'll never guess what has come out. It's not coming out until the end of September, but in pumpkin spice form, you can now get Spam. That's right. Pumpkin spice Spam. As if Spam is not bad enough as it is. Now we're going to make it pumpkin spice. Now, I'm not really going to bash Spam because I did eat Spam growing up, and I didn't hate it. I wouldn't say it was one of my favorite meals, but it was okay. I don't really even remember how we prepared it. If it was just by itself. I don't think it was in a sandwich. I'm sure my sister will text me later and let me know how my mom prepared the Spam. But I do remember eating Spam, and it was okay. I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I enjoyed it. Like I said, not my favorite, but I did enjoy it. You know, we had poor people food growing up. We really did. You eat the Spam. My mom used to buy these cans of generic beef stew. I loved it. I remember it. I've talked about it before. The Pathmark generic brand was called No Frills, and she would buy these No Frills beef stew, and it was delicious. I loved it. But yeah, we had all kinds of, food that, we certainly didn't have steak growing up or any of that kind of stuff. I had mentioned earlier my favorite meal growing up was meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and corn. I always like to starch out. Good stuff. So I don't know if you caught it on my Hopefulist page yesterday, but I did go to a book signing yesterday where I met Megyn Kelly and her husband, Doug Brunt. I believe it's Brunt. Now, I had read Doug's book last year with one of my book club selections, and he did a luncheon last summer that a lot of the ladies from my book club attended. At the time, I don't know if we realized he was married to Megyn Kelly. The name of the book is Trophy Son, and I really did enjoy it. It's about a tennis player who eventually becomes the top-rated tennis player in the world and everything it takes to get him there and what his life is like and all of that kind of stuff. And when they came back from the luncheon and we had our next meeting, they were saying, that he lives on the island in the summertime along with Megyn. Now, Megyn was still on NBC at the time, and he said she came back from New York Thursday nights and would stay Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then head back to the city on Monday morning. So since she's not working right now, I'm assuming maybe she's here full time. It's funny. There's a lot of celebrities that you see come and go on Long Beach Island. I never hear any sightings of her. I don't know if she doesn't go out much or if people don't care or if she's just incognito. I don't know. But I think that's pretty interesting because of all the people you hear about living on the island or spending time on the island, her name never pops up. I like Megyn Kelly. I'm a fellow journalist / broadcaster. I know that a lot of people have very strong feelings about Megyn Kelly. I'm not going to get into that. This was just a good moment for me. I had an opportunity to go to a book signing, and it was great. I found her and her husband very down to earth, and I was telling Doug about how we had read the trophy son, and that some of my friends had gone to his luncheon, and I had told him, I said, I really enjoyed the book. And I asked him, I said, did you know people that went through this? And he said, well, I knew some people that kind of were similar to this. And he goes, and I just interviewed a lot of tennis players. And I said, it was really kind of cool. I said, because, you really liked the character. And then he got really arrogant at times, when he was really good. I said, but you still wanted to root for him. And he seemed very touched by that. He's like, oh, thank you for saying that. That was nice. So I made an impression on him, and then it was my turn with Megyn Kelly. So I had done a quick Google search before something like this goes a really long way. I don't sometimes worry I come off as a stalker. Honestly, all I did was do a little Google search to make sure that something wasn't going on in her life that I didn't know about, like she just got a new job or something. That's basically what I was looking for, which I did not come across because I think she has to wait out the rest of her NBC contract. So when I was doing my quick search, I found a tweet from her husband that they just got a new puppy. So when I came up to Megyn, I said, how's the new puppy? And she's like, oh my gosh, she's so great. I love her. And so we talked about that. And then I did mention something about one of the presidential debates that she moderated. I won't get into what was discussed because, like I said, a lot of people dislike her. A lot of people love her. A lot of people don't care. So I won't get into what I discussed there. But I did, at that point, pull out one of my business cards. And I said, I just wanted to give you this. I do a podcast. And, if you ever get a chance, check it out. And she was like, oh. And then I started to go around the table so that there was a man at the bookstore that owned the bookstore that I gave my phone to. And I said, could you take some pictures? And he happened to snap the picture of me handing her my business card, which I thought was great. And so as I'm walking around, she's reading the card. She's like, oh, how nice. She said, oh, the Hopefulist. Yeah, we certainly need a lot more of that in the world. So I was like, yes. And at that point, I looked at because now I'm behind the table with them. And I'm looking at all the people waiting in line. And I went, that's right. It's your daily dose of inspiration and positivity. Got to get my networking in there when I can. So it was a very cool experience. Like I said, I realize she's a one of those people that people either love or hate. It was just a good moment for me to kind of try and network myself in. It doesn't matter if I love her or hate her. I happen to like her. Like I said, as a fellow journalist, a fellow broadcaster, I felt like telling her if I'd had more time, and I would have told her, you're an ousted broadcaster. I'm an ousted broadcaster. We have a lot in common. And I realized that she's about the same age as me. I thought she was a little bit younger than me, but no, it looks like she graduated in 1988. And I graduated in 1987, and I was a year younger than most people in my class. So it looks like we're right around the same age. So, but yeah, I enjoyed that very much. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out the pictures, please do. It was a very exciting experience for me, and I hope you got a chance to check some of that out. And if you ever have a chance to meet somebody that's, they were very, very cool. I mean, they came in the front, which probably they had no choice. There was probably no back. And, she walked through the crowd and everybody was saying hi. And just one person started clapping. And then she was like, oh, well, thank you. But I thought she was very nice. So I will move on to my blog post now because we are wrapping up Kindness Week. Now, we are wrapping up talking about Kindness Week, but we are not wrapping up kindness, right? We are going to be kind to all of the people that we have discussed this week. Our animals, our pets. Who else did I talk about? I don't even remember now. I'm all wrapped up in my Megyn Kelly meeting. But today I'm going to be talking about being kind to your friends. Yes. Seems like it's something that would be automatic, doesn't it? But it doesn't seem to go that way. Actually, I'm going to go back because I forgot to do my topic. I got so wrapped up again that I'm going to go to my topic, which I asked since I met Megyn Kelly, who your favorite celebrity couples are.